Okay, so in 3 minutes, I want to try and highlight the risks of trying to understand a paper by just reading the abstract, and also highlight the importance of two groups being similar to begin with when you're comparing the effects of a treatment in a research study. So to do that, this is the paper that I'll use to highlight some commonly seen issues. A really important paper because there's such a limited amount of research evidence looking at rehabilitation following shoulder replacement. And a quick look at the abstract. There are a couple of points that might jump out to you. The first is that these researchers were looking to compare what they called an early rehabilitation group, described as immediate physical therapy for passive and active range of motion, versus a delayed group, so quite progressive at first sight. And then the second point that jumps out is that they reported no significant differences between the delayed group and the early rehabilitation group, except the American shoulder and elbow score, functional domain, favouring the delayed group at 6 months. So potentially some quite interesting findings here. But when we actually look at the paper itself, and you have to move beyond the paper and look into a supplementary file, early rehabilitation actually is passive range of motion beginning with a physiotherapist 7 to 10 days after surgery, and then a very gradual introduction of active assisted and active motion over a 6 to 12 week period. And in the UK, this would be regarded as a rather standard approach to rehabilitation rather than an early approach to rehabilitation incorporating active exercises. So sometimes the abstract risks misinterpretation of what was actually done in the research study. And then the second point, this difference between the early and delayed group, favouring the delayed group at 6 months. Well, again, what you have to do here is look at the groups to begin with. Were they comparable? Were they similar? And if I can draw your attention to the ACES shoulder score at the bottom of table 2, if you look at the function aspect, in fact, the early group were much more functionally able at the start of this trial compared to the delayed group. So that means essentially the delayed group had more potential to improve and also a greater potential for regression to the mean. So there's real caution about interpreting that within group change in a positive way. And then finally, if any of you are interested in contributing to research, if you head over to my Twitter page, up until the end of May 2020, we're conducting a survey of rehabilitation following rotator cuff repair, and we'd be grateful for your input. Thanks for listening.